The Recovery of JFK Jr. We recovered the 3 bodies, find the airplane.
How was the body of JFK Jr.?
One detail was that JFK Jr.'s legs were, unfortunately, we found the kneecap in the cockpit dashboard, so they were very mangled, almost like a tin can, just twisting on human flesh. It just cuts you up, tears you up. But yes, they were still seatbelted in.
Did you find anything that you never classified, but you can classify now? Anything that nobody knows?
One of the biggest items that were, let's say, not recovered. One detail that you would never read about, hear about, know about, unless, you were actually there on site. We found a quarter size of a scalp of blonde hair that had been wrapped around her umbilical. One of the divers said, topside, I have, this substantial size scalp down here. And basically just the topside diver said, no, you didn't. And so the diver below basically kind of unwound it from this Velcro boot that we utilize for chafing gear and just let it go into the open ocean.
All right. We're rolling, my man. I'm here with my man Joshua. We shoot it last time, but I feel like we need a little bit more time. You deserve a little bit more time for your story to be known. And I want to invite you back. I invite you back, and looking forward to have you here again. And hopefully you're able to drop us some knowledge about your 25 years into the Navy, what got you into the deep sea missions, and what was like for you, my man. We want to know about your memorable experience.
Nice.
Would you like to share a little bit more about it?
Yeah, man. No, I definitely appreciate you inviting me here, letting me speak my story. It's mind-blowing to me that 25 years has not only passed, but it's been already 4 years since I've been retired from the military. So it just goes to show you that everything, time-wise, is on fast forward nowadays. But I'm excited to hear what you want to know. I'm excited to tell you some details that I don't normally share to anybody and everybody, but I think the audience is going to have a thrill ride with this one.
100%. So what is one of the most memorable experience that you have about your 25 years in the Navy?
So, I mean, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is just basically my second big dive job that we did, and it was the recovery of JFK Jr. I mean, it was all over the news by the time we heard about it and gotten ready to prepare to go up there and find the airplane, and then there was 3 bodies inside of those airplanes, and just the whole world, it felt like, was watching this operation go on. And I think I was maybe 22, 23 years old, and just the mindset of the team we went up there with, just like, hey, we'll do whatever we need to. We got all the gear that we needed to do to it, and we just went out there and basically did what we were trained to do, and we were able to recover that airplane and the 3 bodies that were inside of it.
That's awesome. So as a 22 years old, right, you were part of the team that recovered the JFK Jr. body. Can you walk us through the day and what the atmosphere was like among the team?
Yeah, I mean, pure excitement, like these type of just high visible jobs don't really come up that often. In the military, a lot of what we do is just like hush and, hey, we are overseas. We're doing missions somewhere else. And so for something to happen right there off of Martha's Vineyard, it was just kind of a sense of, wow, excitement. This is in the history books, guys, so let's do it professionally and do it right. For us, it really happened. I think it was a Friday evening when the news popped that, hey, he had been missing and the plane was, possibly crashed. And I remember sitting on the couch with like a few guys just going, that's kind of our little operations box. I kind of think we will end up going up there for some reason or not. And then next thing you know, we got the call on Saturday from our master diver and our bosun saying, get back to the boat. We got to prepare it. We got to start moving the boat up off the coast up there, and we're going to help out in the recovery and the search for this airplane that had went down. By Sunday, we had everything loaded, ready to go. I think Monday morning, and we left Little Creek, Virginia. And we were punching holes into the water that day. Along with, we saw Coast Guard divers up there searching. We saw police divers up there searching. I think there was even local dive shops up there in that area just trying to find where this plane was on the bottom of the ocean.
Wow. So what type of besides excitement, right? Did you felt that you was like an important day for you to contribute to your country history?
Absolutely. I mean, growing up out here, the Kennedy family just had a legacy. You know, everyone knew that name. And I remember kind of just hearing about, you know, JFK Jr., how he was probably going to be the upcoming, could have been the next high-end politician, you know. He just had a good voice, good, strong personality that probably could have went very far following his father's footsteps. So for us to be able to assist with that operation, and I mean, we heard rumors of like, well, he's a civilian, he doesn't deserve this sort of attention, and you know, we kind of heard that, but for us, it was like, this is just something that's helpful to a family. It's helpful to a legacy. We are willing and able to go down there and help any way possible. So, of course, it was just something we had to do.
Talking about JFK Kennedy, the president, what do you think is the real story behind his assassination?
So I don't know. It's crazy because I've actually been to the grassy knoll driving across America. I stopped there and just kind of like checked the scope out. You know, they show you the window where the supposedly shooter was from. And I really don't know, have an opinion per se on the conspiracy. But I'll tell you, there was a lot of chatter and a lot of rumor when the JFK Jr. plane went down that, oh, here it goes again, another conspiracy. Supposedly somebody doesn't want the family members to be able to excel and blah, blah, blah. So for me, I do believe a little bit that when certain people in the, say, government or certain groups don't need your service anymore, I think people just go away. So, I mean, I don't know how it happened, what happened, but I do believe there was more than just a random guy up in the ceiling or up in the window wanting to take this guy out. There was some motive behind it. Yeah.
Makes sense. Talking about conspiracy theories surrounding JFK Jr.'s, did you see anything unusual during the recovery that might fuel those theories?
No, actually, I didn't see anything that was like, you know, I don't know, say a white plane went down that he was in, and next thing you know, we're pulling up parts of the plane that were like red and burgundy and different, like, you know, something like switched it out, or because that was kind of the thing too. They're like, well, I've heard that's not really his plane, that really wasn't his body, that wasn't whatever. So everything that we saw come off straight off the bottom of the ocean and put back onto the ship that we then sent into the piers on Rhode Island with the NTSB was exactly verbatim of what we were looking for via the report of the plane that he was flying with the people that were in it. So for me, people that try to argue with me like, oh, it's conspiracy and this and this and this, I'm like, you're wrong. I was there, I saw it firsthand, and I'm not gonna lie about anything like that.
Sure.
Like, yeah,
it makes
100%
sense.
truth.
Did you find anything crazy while finding the, you know, so let me give a background to the audience. So Joshua was part of the team that went to recover the body of JFK Jr. He dived down the deep ocean and then tried to recover as much things as possible from the plane crash. You guys recovered the body and also many other things that were inside the plane, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How was the body of JFK Jr.?
So we saw on camera, we had an ROV actually swim down there and plant right in front of the fuselage, and we saw him face fronted into the cockpit, and then we could see the blonde hair girls in the rear seats. Everyone's still seatbelted in. We recovered the 3 bodies. One detail was that JFK Jr.'s legs were, some people will say they were inside of him from impact. Fortunately, we found the kneecap in the cockpit dashboard, so that doesn't really happen when something goes inside of you. So they were very mangled, almost like a tin can just twisting on human flesh. It just cuts you up, tears you up. But yes, they were still seatbelted in, so we actually had to remove via cutting the seatbelts to then unfold the seats and unfold some metal a little bit to get them out. We put all 3 bodies into actual body bags down there and kept them on the side where we stored all the other stuff that we found on the plane in this like sort of cage on the bottom. But yeah, they were horribly mangled. It was very, very kind of distorted to see. They had been down long enough to where the water has kind of been soaking into them a little bit, kind of puffy, kind of look to them, but nothing glorious, you know. And fast forward to when they did finally pull the 3 bodies up and then took them in for the autopsy. The autopsy determined that it was just too mangled, too distraught to ever have any kind of open casket or any sort of anything. So they opted to do a burial at sea because of the nature of the bodies that we recovered.
Insane. And then while going over and explore different type of object or things that were inside the plane, did you find anything that you never classified but you can classify now after the 25 years accident? Anything that nobody knows?
I mean, so the black box, we were able to recover that, and I think that's how they determined that it was more or less operator error for the plane crash. But I mean, they were going to a wedding, I believe, so they had a lot of personal items. I mean, from Guns N' Roses CDs, you know, he had just broken his leg previously, so he was still kind of utilizing crutches. We found the set of crutches down there, a watch band, a hat that he had been wearing. So a lot of personal items we were able to pull out of there and then send it back to the family as they felt necessary. Some of it did wash ashore, but it was crazy how many personal items that we were able to pull up and then, you know, recover from it.
Nice.
Yeah.
But anything that you can tell now that like even the family doesn't know that you were able to recover, things like that?
I mean, again, just a lot of personal stuff. One of the biggest maybe items that were, let's say, not recovered were when we were just about done taking care of the whole work site. We got probably, I would say, like 95% of the wreckage that was down there. One of the very, very last divers, even after they did the burial at sea, so bodies cremated, kind of, you know, said your farewells, we found, I'd probably say, a quarter size of a scalp of blonde hair that had been wrapped around our umbilical. And so, you know, you're kind of putting your hose away to be done with the dive. And one of the divers said, topside, I have, you know, this substantial size scalp down here. And at one point, everyone was kind of like, well, what do we do? It's, you know, make a decision. And basically just the topside diver said, no, you didn't. And so the diver below basically kind of unwound it from this Velcro boot that we utilize for chafing gear and just let it go into the open ocean and essentially barrel at sea, right? That's where the other bodies were. So this piece just kind of went away. But that was more one detail that you would never read about, hear about, know about, unless, you know, you were actually there on site during the dives.
And how long was the mission?
I believe we dove from that Monday all the way until Friday. I believe we just dove. So basically, you know, four full days of diving. And then I think it was that Friday evening we had, like I said, 90+% of the airplane on the back of our ship, and our ship pulled into Newport, Rhode Island, the base there. And I just remember vividly seeing just cameras, news cameras, just spotlights, all trying to film what we were taking off of this, the back of our ship. And so I would say, you know, 4 to 5 days easily of just diving, recovering all these pieces.
How many hours per day?
From sunrise to sundown, you know, I believe. Again, it's been 25 years since I was there, but I don't remember us doing any night dives.
Okay.
So I remember pretty much once it started getting dark, we were like, all right, let's shut down. We'll come back the next day. And it was 120 feet of water, so 116-ish. But the sunlight through the day would help us be able to see what we were doing down there. So that's makes it a lot easier for us to recover stuff.
How many meters or feet were the body recovered by? Like 120 feet?
Yeah, so I think like the deepest we were on a 120 dive table. 120. So I believe most of us were diving, walking on the bottom is kind of what we do. We don't really swim around. We walk on the bottom, got heavy boots on, and then we get deep gloves on, and then we just kind of carry the stuff over to the cage. Or we, the main fuselage, we just used a wire rope. So we put the wire rope through the big part of the airplane, and then we just pulled it up via crane. So I think we were down there for maybe 45 minutes, each set of divers down there recovering, stuff like that. And then you got to come up, change out divers, and then the new divers go in. And then they start looking and searching. So.
Oh, damn. So how many people were into this mission? Like,
I think I know for our dive command, we had, I think, 13 guys. I'm trying to recall if we had other guys come out to augment and help us, but I do believe there was only probably about 13, maybe 15 guys that did this whole evolution.
What type of technical difficulty did you find while doing this mission?
It was pretty cold. I mean, the water up there is not, it was July, and I thought, you think, oh, July, summertime, water's warm. I do remember on one of the dives where I just started like shivering and getting cold, and I had a wetsuit on and all that stuff, but we were down there for a while, and I remember at one point just going, I think I'm going to call and just say, all right, I'm done. I'm ready to come up, And right then, over our comms that we wear in our big dive helmet, the master diver goes, all right, let's go back to the stage. We're coming up. And I was just like, yes. I didn't have to say I quit. I was just, it was almost like answered prayer. Like, I'm about freezing right here, and it's starting to get uncomfortable to where I'm like, okay, we're ready to come back in. So Saved by the Bell, I call it on that one.
How do you deal with animals down the ocean, like, I don't know, sharks or things like that? That can, attack you eventually. Were you scared of it?
I mean, luckily for us, we have a huge metal ship above us running generators and running pumps and stuff. So that kind of just
scared them away.
Kind of makes them go away. Plus, we're coming down on this big like metal cage right down to the bottom of the ocean. We're just walking around, kicking up dirt. So, and then it's, when you go diving as a scuba guy or whatever, you're looking at coral reef and nice fish and all shallow water. We're down there in the deep water, just, kicking up dirt and stuff like that. So, you really, even if they're there, which is kind of funny, every now and then you'll feel like a bump and you'll be like, is that you, or is that like something just hit me down here? But you're so focused on, head down in the dirt, digging, recovering and stuff that you don't even have time to like look up and see if there is stuff like that around. So you kind of out of sight, out of mind mentality.
Did you get invited in the White House or, meet the president at the time?
It's crazy because Senator Ted Kennedy actually drove out with him and John F. Kennedy's cousin to recover the 3 bodies. So they actually came onto our ship, and I was sitting there on the bench ready to go diving, and just, next thing you know, he's like, hey, thank you. And I'm like shaking the hand of Senator Ted Kennedy at that moment, that was kind of the biggest name maybe that came out for that. And then we didn't really get to see the burial at sea, which was on the USS Briscoe, but I mean, we heard that there was just some like big names on that one, from the Kennedy family and whole. And so, I mean, this definitely just brought out the who's who of, the Kennedy name.
It makes sense. So you've clearly been in many deep sea missions. What was the most intense or mysterious moment you had during those operations?
I mean, so diving wise, we do our general nature of diving is working dives, right? It's just straight work. So you got to imagine, like, there's certain situations where, like, next thing you know, your air's running low, or you get something knocked out of your mouth and now your air source is gone. Diving at night, just the whole learning how to dive at night, and like we communicate with like glow sticks and stuff like that, how to tell what to do and stuff like that. Compass swims at night. You have a compass in front of you, and you get a direction, and you're just going a certain way at night, and just your trust is all in the compass. Your trust is with you and your buddy. So realistically, it's just underwater with the unknown. I mean, it's a fact that sound travels 25 times faster than it does here. So like, if I'm over on this side of you or on this side of you, just by the ears tell you which side I'm on. In water, you don't have none of that. So everything's disoriented. Everything's just the color changes, So just the elements of being somewhere else where humans really aren't supposed to be or made to be. You just have to adjust to any certain situation that you're in when you're diving down there.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, like last time we spoke, you talked to me about a a mission that, well, you didn't talk to me about it, but you mentioned that the crazy mission that you did was 47 days under the water,
Yep.
which you still cannot classify, and I respect that. But do you think that was one of the most intense moments that you face?
Yeah, I would say that had definitely a higher caliber to it. One thing, we trained for almost 2 years to even get ready to do that said mission. So that was just intense, like just the preparation for it, the training for it, getting the right team to be able to do it. And then the whole realm of it, 47 days underwater, no sunlight, no fresh air, just recycled farts going around in this tube thing that you're at with 100 plus guys, just
100 plus
100 plus guys. I think we have 8 toilets total between all of us. It's just a whole nother world. I'm sure astronauts maybe experienced it a little bit, but and I'm not even a submariner. The submarine guys who actually are on this boat year round, whatever, they laugh at someone like me, 47 days, please. That's we do that on the, once a year, twice a year, whatever. But so some of those guys have hundreds of days underwater, which is a whole nother level, right? Because some small details about the submarine life is you're on surface, you put a bunch of, food and fresh vegetables and all the good stuff in. Well, within a week or two, 150 guys will go through it like that.
Yeah.
So what are you eating for the next 3 weeks? Powdered milk, frozen this, frozen that, boxed this, and it's just, and where are you putting the trash while you're at it? Just down below everything, just, kind of tuck it away and try not to smell it. So it's just a whole new style of life that if you've never even heard about it, seen it, or been in it, you just don't realize that's what that's what we are going through while we're trying to do a mission that's super, super critical, trained for 2 years to do it. So it just all encompasses just a scenario where this is on someone's video game and I'm doing it for real life all of a sudden and I'm living it. So it kind of just blows your mind how dynamic it is when you're doing it.
Insane.
Yeah.
So were you able to use the telephone down the water, or how does that work? That type of simplicity life. What I'm thinking about is can you use a telephone underwater? Do you have internet? How is the pressure look like for you guys?
So a couple things.
I don't know if it makes sense, my question.
Yeah, no, it does. Just the everyday normal life of a submarine is
your
different
daily
than
life of a submarine.
Us right now. First, the one thing big is the fresh food. You're not eating fresh food for a week or past, once you guys sink down. The other thing is fire suppression. They lower the oxygen level just a little bit to limit the amount of fires that could possibly happen within your little world down there, right? So you got to imagine right now we're breathing equivalent to 21% oxygen down there. I think they get it down to 19, maybe-ish, maybe even lower. I'm not too sure exactly, but you feel it, you feel a little bit, and your body, accommodates to it eventually. But, little things like that, recirced water,
what is the preparation looking like in these 2 years for you to be prepared for this mission? What type of training were you doing? Did you have any mental coach, any nutrition coach, any type of physical training coach? What was like for you?
It was more of the diving we were gonna do. So really, yeah, there is no hey, let's sit down and talk about how you're gonna feel while you're down there, right? We don't really get that in the military. They're just this is what you're gonna do, train how to do it right, and go do it. That's kind of just the mentality. So realistically, the training was just this is what we're gonna do, and we are gonna practice over in America, off the ocean, our oceans, and learning how to do what we're gonna do over and over and over and over. So by the time you actually went over to the other area where you really were gonna do the mission, it was just they could have put us off any coast, and it would have just been well, we're just doing what we do. But the fact that we were in another area of operation, doing the same, routine, but that's kind of the difference of it.
So what you're saying is that in the past 2 years, you've been staying within the United States of America type of territory, doing the same thing for 47 days or whatever, just kind of get used to it.
Yeah, we were just diving in different locations, trying to get set up for what we would do
Sure.
over on the next place when we were really there. And it's very common for that for the military, right? We train here, and then once you are up, then your team goes overseas and does that, what you just did training-wise for real. And then once you get done, complete over there, or their deployment's over or whatever, you just come back home, and the new guys go over there, and then they do it. So it's like a cycle of you always have fresh-minded bodies ready to roll over to your next mission, deployment, or whatever the military says, hey, this is what we want you to do.
Got it. Hypothetically speaking, let's just assume that you were in another country, like, I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
And let's just say that another country caught you being there down the ocean in their territory. Would that be risky? Meaning like they could shoot you or something like that, or neutralize the submarine, or be like, hey, I found you, you guys go back in your fucking country type of thing?
Yeah. So let's just say
hypothetically
that if we got compromised, or let's say if we got caught, we actually had military material, guns per se, on our bodies while we're underwater diving in case that happened.
Damn.
Like, yeah, that we were prepared that way too. We weren't just down there working. We were like, okay, we are working, doing this mission, but if this case happens, then you're going to utilize this and this and this to be able to get out of the situation or to take care of the situation too. So yeah, we had measures of that nature also with us on our person.
It can be a silly question, but do you like a espionage movie? Like Mission Impossible or James Bond?
Probably as a kid, I would say I did. I kind of like the James Bond, the Mission Impossible series even. Now it's a whole movie series, but MacGyver, just like those men who can like create and sneak and make things happen. So yeah, I mean, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, per se, once you like live it for a while and you're like, you see how it is for real, how kind of long it takes to even get to that mission. It's like, okay, it's different in the real world, right? So,
sure.
But yeah, no, I still enjoy it. I tried to, yeah.
In your mission, were you able to accept or deny a mission, or was just like a mandatory type of mission?
Yeah, so there is certain like commands or choices in the military that you could choose to go to, and or get accepted to go to, and that if you choose to go to that style of work or command or duty, you'll end up doing X, Y, and Z. So if you don't want to, let's say, jump out of airplanes, then you probably shouldn't go to a command that has you jump out of airplanes, right? If you don't want to deploy to, say, Afghanistan, then maybe don't choose a command that could get you to go to Afghanistan. So that's kind of where it comes with choices. But once you do choose to go into any of those entities that can make you go places, yeah, man, you're probably going to go,
Nice.
Unless worst case happens where family members, pass away, or, pregnancies happen for the women and then they can't go. So, I mean, again, there's ways to divert away from it. But generally, I found like the higher caliber military members, they choose certain locations to go work because they want to go do that. That's why they join the military, to be able to just go out and, get that excitement, get that, under your belt, those stories that you're going to get when you join the military.
Makes sense. So your 47 days are classified, that we won't go into it, but what is an accident or incident that was about to happen? They're like, oh shit, like I don't know if I'm gonna be going back to the water, to the surface, or was that even a case, or like they did not happen? No incident happened, nothing like that.
On the big job we did, no, not so much.
No.
It's kind of amazing, that the military can train you so well to then when you actually do the mission, it's like, well, that was actually easy.
Oh, wow.
because we kind of made every mistake during the training sessions. All the little wrinkles all got ironed out via the training. So I'm assuming it's like people that run marathons,
Sure.
You actually have to run, 1,000 miles to be able to be prepared to run a marathon correctly. And then you run the marathon, you're like, well, that was easy. So it's almost like that, where we were just muscle memory, train. So we didn't have anything really crazy happen on the big mission per se.
What type of incident or mistakes can happen during this type of mission that it did happen during the training part of it?
So I mean, one thing is losing a diver, right? Because we're kind of riding on a moving object that's underwater, and I mean, if one guy just starts to go away, I mean, losing a diver, that's kind of one of our biggest fears, is a diver misplaced away from the other divers or away from the, home base type thing. So, and during training, yeah, we had divers that, they were doing something, next thing you know, the current took them and then poof, they're gone, but again, we were training in Key West, Florida, or, Guam or Hawaii. And it's like, you come up there and you're like, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, what are you doing out here? Type thing. You find them easier. If that happened when you're doing stuff off of X country, it's not so friendly,
Sure.
So that's all the mishaps and all the, don't do that again type scenarios happen while in training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. How is the relationship with the Italian Navy? Because I know that the Italian Navy, they have a really, really solid Navy, and they usually train also in America, and you guys go to Italy and train. I have a friend of mine, Giovanni, and he's into the Navy in Italy. Mm-hmm. What is like training with other countries, like in a friendly way, just to be prepared for eventual war, things like that?
It's absolutely awesome.
Really?
Yeah. So I got some amazing stories with when we went on our deployment, not mission, not whatever, just our Navy diving ship went over to deployment to the Mediterranean Sea. We actually got to pull into all kinds of cool ports, and a couple of them were like the France divers, the Italian divers. And, we're all a little competitive, American divers, French divers, Italian divers, we all want to compete a little bit. So I just remember some of the Italian divers, they're like, hey, you guys want to dive the one atmosphere suit? Do you want to jump out of a helicopter? Or do you want to go dive on a submarine that got blown up by a torpedo and it's all twisted underwater? And we're just like, dude, you guys are awesome, man. Like, those are our choices to hang out with you guys and go do. So a couple of us chose to jump out of the helicopter and then dive down to the submarine. And I'll tell you what, when you get to hang out with these guys, they're all, super, super cool dudes, and you get to dive with them in their spots, and they get to kind of show you what they do. And then in Italy, after you get done diving, everyone's rinsing off water-wise. It's like, well, all right, now we go eat some pasta and drink some wine and hang out. And I'm like, dude, amazing guys, so much fun. When we were pulling out, I was almost like teary-eyed. I'm like, I don't want to leave. These guys are awesome. Let's stay here forever. So great experiences.
Where in Italy have you been during those training?
So I mean, for those trainings, I can't exactly remember. I mean, it was in 2002 when this all happened, so well over 20 plus years ago. But
probably Sicily.
Yeah, Sicily was one of them. I mean, we pulled into Genoa, I think, which is kind of where the Tower of Pisa was. So we were in that region. Other cruises went to Venice, Italy. Mm-hmm. Got to go to Rome. We pulled in Naples, Italy, and they're like MWR, right? It's like the people who take care of you and make you go tour the country instead of just going to the bar. It was like, hey, we have a trip to Rome, and the Pope's going to actually be blessing stuff for $15. I'm like, yeah, I should probably go do this, for $15. So yeah, I got to do that and stuff like that. But I can't exactly remember which parts of Italy, but between Spain and Italy were probably the two most places that we pulled into. So I fell in love with both of them so much.
So during your mission, like down the water, did you see any crazy freaking object or like crazy creatures that like, oh my gosh, type of thing?
Unfortunately, no. I just never did. I mean, I'm imagining that when we were on this 450-foot submarine, like that's about the object that anybody would ever see. It's like, whoa, what is this? So I was already in it. I was already on it. So, but no, I've never seen any kind of underwater UFOs or like anything that people might say. I'm sure it's down there and our government's hiding from us. No.
Do you think we are in a do you think we are in a position, technology-wise and development-wise, to build some type of basement underwater, type of Area 51 type of things underwater? Do you think we can do that now, or?
So there is an area that's not classified. I think civilians actually run it. It's in Key Largo, Florida, and this underwater habitat has been down there for, I mean, I've known about it since like '05. So I mean, it's been down there for, and people go down there and like they live in it, and it's, I'll tell you what, living underwater,
it's no fun.
It's, I mean, definitely not fun, but it's just, it's moisture everywhere. Like it's rust happens, it just breaks down quicker. The salt water is just horrible for any sort of mechanisms and stuff like that. Like, so I don't see us ever live, aquanauts, I think they used to call it. I don't really see us ever living underwater permanently, going down there and taking care of stuff, doing whatever, and, doing missions and quick in and out. Cool. But no, I do. My opinion, there is no sort of Area 51 underwater.
Got it. Do you think that nowadays the USA took the necessary type of, let me rephrase it. Do you think after Pearl Harbor that happened back in the days, do you think now we are in a position that we can prevent that to happen again?
So big conspiracy of that. Supposedly it was preventable even back then.
Okay.
Supposedly people knew about it that should have said something, blah, 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 blah. So I honestly think big operations like that, I mean, that was a huge operation on their part coming into our world and, doing what they did. I do believe it's preventable. I think we get down to the one person that just randomly does something against our country. Like that's almost like not preventable. So big operations like that, I do. I think we have enough mechanisms out there to be listening and watching and waiting for stuff like that to happen to where it overall is preventable.
Some people don't live in San Diego because they think that San Diego it's a high target because of the military base, how good we are over here. Do you think that it's a concern from people to have, or like majority is because like since we are so good in the military over here in San Diego, people should be safe?
Yeah, I think I read something somewhere once where the safest areas of the United States are, and I think one of them was like Norfolk, Virginia, which is the largest naval base in the whole world, and it's very close to DC. So I do believe because of we have like 4 SEAL teams right here, right south of Coronado.
Yeah.
Like if I was a betting man and I wanted certain dudes on my team, if the things ever came in here that we didn't like I would sure hope those guys would be around, So, and I mean, we got helicopters, planes, carrier ships here. So I think being a high attack area, maybe, but we have a lot of deterrence to maybe not let them attack here. So
sure.
No, I think San Diego is a very safe place for that reason.
Got it. What's the most advanced tech that you've seen under the submarine that like we don't even know exist and you're able to talk about it?
The advanced what?
The most advanced technology that you see, that you see so far under submarine, and then you say, hey, I can actually talk about this because it's not classified. I can talk about it. I don't know if it makes sense. Let me rephrase it. What's the most advanced technology that you've seen under the sea? So being in the submarine, and you're able to talk about it because it's not classified.
Okay. Realistically, the whole submarine, like just world, right? I mean, you have a underwater nuclear powered submarine just being able to, navigate. There's no windows on this thing. Like it's not like a car where you could just like see the road and there's nice little lines where it just stay in this lane. Like it's just a moving city, nuclear powered, moving its way how it needs to go. So I mean, just that alone right there is just mind blowing that capability is out there. And then you got all the people, 100 plus people inside of it living all together. Flushing water, running water. Like you got to imagine some countries don't even have that. And now this like tube floating underwater is moving, power, water, all the utilities that we use every day on just our cities, all through the water at night. No real guidance besides the radar and stuff like that. So, and then the amount of capabilities that they can utilize. So like for us, right? We were divers. The SEALs came with us too. We were able to bring our package of stuff on it, do our missions, and then pop it all off, roll out, and they go back to business doing what they do, or somebody else comes on, puts their little package in it or on it, and then they go do their stuff. So just the versatility of what they can do to support, the warfighters out there and stuff like that. It's actually a really genuinely amazing just tool that we have for our military.
That's so fascinating. I know you touched a little bit before, but let's just say I am someone that is going to do a mission in the submarine. And I come to you and say, hey, Uncle Joshua. Hey, Uncle Joshua, can you give me an idea of what should I expect during this submarine mission? Like, leave me on a day-to-day basis, like what I'm going to think about it, what is going to look like crazy things. Like, I want to go more into the details, so I'm able to kind of visualize what was like for you.
Okay. Yeah. So luckily here in San Diego, we have the USS Dolphin that's right off of here in by Seaport Village, waterfront right there. And you can actually go in there. I don't know, it's maybe like $10, but that's the submarine that dove the deepest point of anywhere underwater. Like that one right there. It's all museumed out now, right? But the submarine life is very...
How deep was that?
I think it's like over 1,000 feet or something like that. Yeah, for a submarine, that's pretty. That's
Any
pretty
type of mission there?
I think I don't know if they say what missions they were doing on there, but it might have some plaques that say, hey, you know what
Sure.
they did. But yeah, if you're here in San Diego and you want to go like walk through a submarine and realize how really small it is, like if you're over 6 foot, you shouldn't even be on a submarine. Because I mean, you're hitting your head. Like, I got scars and everything from my head from hitting things, because the submarine is just a very small, compact, just area. I mean, even the sleeping situation, you have 3 bunks on top of each other, and then you have another 3 right on the other side of them. So you have 6 people within probably about the size of his table right here, and each person in each level is separated by basically a sheet or like maybe a piece of material. So yeah, that dude's snoring, you're hearing him snore. He rolls over and bumps through the material. Yep, you notice it, And that's just the sleeping situation. It's very rare. On some submarines, they have a thing called hot rack.
Hot rack.
Hot rack.
What is
so
hot rack?
Rack is when they don't have enough beds for all the personnel on it, so they actually end up sharing a bed with the guy who's working. No. So this guy gets out of his bed, he rolls back to work or watch or whatever you want to call it, and then another guy who's just getting off of doing his duty goes in the rack and sleeps in it. Hot rack. Like, that's a real thing too. Luckily, I never had to do that. We had like some luxury, because we were just the divers and the SEALs on there. We got to like hang hammocks and like have our little space and stuff like that. So we never had to share any racks. But yeah, that's a real thing for the real submariners out there.
That's great. What is like for someone that is a smoker?
You can't smoke.
Of course, but
no vaping, no smoking, no. I think even now they don't even let you dip on the submarine anymore. I'm pretty sure we got away with a little bit of that stuff because we were kind of doing the thing. But I believe they are smokeless everything right now. So if you're on a thing 47 straight, you better. I think I have seen people with the gum, the patches, and stuff like that. But I think the military in a whole, especially the Navy, is so, hey, let's all stop smoking, that they almost say, hey, since we're going to be underway and underwater for a certain amount of time, why don't you start learning how to stop smoking now? So
Sure.
It's kind of a push that way, yeah.
What's the deal with the submarine that went, the rich people that organized the submarine that went down to visit the Titanic and then they all die? Have you heard about the story?
Oh, yeah.
What was that all about, man?
Civilian submariners. Come on, guys. Leave it to the professionals. But, so basically some, I guess, rich-ass dude thought he could take, other rich-ass civilians down and see the Titanic. And, the amount of pressure that the ocean has on, whether it's your body, whether it's the submarine, whatever can, if you do the math, and this is kind of nerding out a little bit in physics, but if you took a balloon that was like size 10, in 33 feet, it goes down to size 5. Like, it goes in half, like 33 feet alone. This guy was going down to like, I don't know, the Titanic's at I don't even know.
Was the Titanic
20,000, 10,000? I don't even know what the Titanic's
Yeah.
at, but you got to imagine this 10 to 5, then at 66 it goes down even more than half. Like there was so much pressure on this vessel that this civilian submarine guy was taking people down that it just like a Coke can, man, just
But do you think
imploded.
because the submarine was not built properly?
Yeah, because we've had vessels, go deeper than that, that we've done experiments with, and they survived. So what's crazy about, and again, there's a little bit super detailed about the submarine world, is every single bolt, every single screw, every single piece of material is so by design to make sure that all those bodies in that tube are safe and secure because of all the material they use. That I guarantee, and it's expensive, like super expensive, like $10,000 bolt. You could get the same thing at Home Depot, but this is guaranteed submarine safe bolt. And I do believe that the civilian submariner guy that was building the tour ride to Titanic, he was probably using the Home Depot bolt, and he wasn't getting it tested and pressurized, tested, stuff like that properly, like we do for super safe stuff.
Was there any mission to clear up what was under the Titanic?
No, that was just pure, like, we want to see it. We want to,
No, I'm talking about the civilian one. I'm talking about like in the past. Was there any mission, like you guys went there and pick up the body and the pieces of JFK Jr. And recover as much things as possible, kind of clean it up? Was there any mission that happened for the Titanic in particular, do you think?
I don't know.
No?
I think I guess there was a bunch of rich people on there. Maybe they had some stuff, articles wise that would be worth something, but I've never personally heard any sort of items that would be mission essential to go down to the Titanic for the military to go down there or for anybody but just sightseers.
No, it makes sense. Back in 2012, when Osama bin Laden died, why do you think that Obama let the body run into the ocean and not pick it up? And
that's when I heard they did that, I was a little bit confused too, of like,
right?
Why in the ocean? Why not just fire pit, or why not? I don't know, but I've really never looked into it. Why they actually just let that body go. But I do know, fact check wise, that for sure it was his body, and for sure it was dumped off.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, like that's true, because I did hear a lot of people like, it wasn't even really him and blah blah blah. But and I never really found out why they decided to throw it into the ocean. Maybe because the Navy SEALs found him and got him, so they were like, well, out to the ocean then. Maybe if the Army would have caught him, they would have put him in a hole in the desert or something. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with that.
That's crazy. That's funny to think about it, though. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought like, oh shit, I'm not gonna come up back in surface? Like, oh mom, like, you do the last prayer and then
yeah
that type of situation.
While diving, we were doing a recovery job of a military helicopter, and it had started getting late a little bit, and so we were working around this thing, and at one point I remember something on my back of the tank I was wearing got like snagged on something, and I mean, being at the bottom of the ocean working, and next thing you know, something's to where you can't just get up. It starts to get your heart going a little bit. It starts to panic you a little bit, And in training, it's like you learn, all right, just take a breath, slow it down, try to reach back. And I just couldn't. Whatever had hooked into me, I couldn't get it done. And so, in training, we learn, well, you're down there with somebody. So for me, it was just like, all right, topside, I'm fouled. We call it fouled, hooked into something. And so then luckily for me, your buddy comes over there, he freaking pulls it off, and you're back to business. But realistically, like little moments like that to where, it's probably not, your leg didn't get cut off, you're not shot, you're not whatever, but yeah, your mind starts racing a little bit when you're pinned, something's going on, and you can't, like, if you had to get out of there, you couldn't. So just little things like that for me, for diving wise, yeah.
So you think that was the scariest moment that you experienced?
No, not the scariest moment, but it's just one of those ones that stick to your mind. Like, so then when the scariest moments happen, you're like, all right, well, I'm here with somebody, I'm trained. I know what I'm doing. Don't panic and, stuff like that. So those little moments that you experience get you prepared for the real scary ones. Yeah.
What's the scariest moment though?
I mean, like I jumped out of airplanes for a while. We had some pretty scary moments out there. But again, I just go back to saying, man, we got trained so much that even when you're in those situations of like,
it's like easy for you.
Dude,
Okay.
Yeah. You just kind of just go back into, hey, what were we trained to do that, and that's usually going to push you right out to success. So,
what is the most important lessons that you learn by staying in the Navy for 25 years?
For me, it's just utilize your resources, right? So like the military in general, they have all these little, from your baby military guys to your senior military guys, and we all kind of have our own little jobs, and then you got the White House, they call the military guys something like, hey, here we go, guys, we need you to do this. So in the military, you just have a lot of different mindset resources out there. And when you're on a team, you just learn, okay, let's grow our mindset and grow our resources and grow our training capability to be so good that this guy knows this job, this guy knows that job. So you just learn how to build your team properly to be successful. And that's, it comes down to that. Always surround yourself with the most qualified, best running team, and you're probably going to succeed in any kind of thing that you do, really. So.
Have you ever asked the question, hey, should my son join the military?
Yeah, I've had cousins ask, hey, I want to go to the military, maybe should I? And should your kid go in the military? Friends, family. I really think you should just look kind of into yourself and just be like, one, I'm gonna be gone, right? Like not many military people get to join and then they're still living at home, right? You are just, whether it's boot camp, gone. And so if you don't mind being away, for a while or for a duration of time, then hey, that's one thing, The beautiful thing about it is if you're a kind of person that anywhere in your life you are in a group of people and you're like, what do? I want to do that. And you like visually to see stuff happen to where you go, oh, that's what I want to do. The military is your place then. Because you could go in as, a cook. And then while you're cooking, you start seeing other people do other jobs. And you're like, okay, I don't want to cook anymore. I want to do that. And you can cross over to other jobs in the military while you're in. Because before you get in, you hear about it. You wonder like, oh, which one should I join? What should I do? But when you're in it, you get to see it. And then you get to experience it. And you're like, all right, cool. That's what I want to do now. So for that reason, then hey, you want to go if you like that kind of movements.
What type of fitness were you doing under the submarine? Do you guys?
Not a lot.
No fitness under the submarine.
No. They're luckily on the big submarine that we were on. That we had, I think 2 rowing machines. We had I think 1 or 2 treadmills. We had some weights, stuff like that. So. It got pretty crowded though, to where like they had to put a waiting list on each piece of equipment, because you get a bunch of divers and SEALs on there, they're going to run for an hour. Like that's just what we do, and then the Submarine guys would be like, excuse me, I would like to use the machine, please. And so they had to like schedule us no more than a half an hour or whatever on each thing. So it's a little bit of whatever, but. I mean, yeah, you'll just find a corner somewhere and do pull-ups or push-ups or, bands or whatever, but you try to do some sort of physical activity on there and for your mental state too. I mean, just even if it's that for you.
What was like, man, it's fascinating. Like I cannot even like think about like what is like to be under the freaking ocean for like 47 days or like even more than that. I mean, prompt to those guys that, serve this country and allow us to be protected. And dude, unbelievable.
Dude, it's another mindset. I mean, I would almost challenge you to try to get an astronaut on here one day and just kind of ask him kind of the same story.
Do you know any?
Like, no. None personally.
Okay.
I have sat down at conferences where like ex-military guys went over to the astronaut world, and I got to hear some of their stories and like similarities and, you know, this and that. But yeah, I would be very curious to hear from an astronaut, like, hey, when you're up there floating around, you know, like, what's it like going to the bathroom in this thing, you know, or what do you guys eat up there? Because I'm thinking they don't have zero fresh food from day one, I guess, you know, I don't even know. So yeah, to hear those stories of like, oh, submarine life, astronaut life, space station life, like, dude, it's crazy to find the details of what people go through to be able to experience those moments.
Unbelievable. I mean, a little bit off topic. I'm just curious. What do you think during Cold War, right? What do you think that going to the moon was such a huge accomplishment back in the days?
For me, I really think it came down to we want to be first and we want to show we're better. So like I think it was like China, Russia, America were all like moon.
But why the moon though?
It was the first available, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean before that maybe there was a challenge of like who could go deeper in the ocean. I don't know, or who was the first country to climb Mount Everest. You know, maybe those were like the pinnacles that everyone did. But the moon, I think, was just there close enough, and they just wanted to land on it. And then once they did, I mean, think about this: they've never gone back. So I don't think there was a purpose there. I mean, if they would have found something there, the dust would have like cured cancer or something. Like we'd be there all the time. But I think it was just to be first, to prove something to other countries that our space world was the best. And then once they did it, they were like, okay, now what? You know? Yeah. So I don't think there was any sort of, and again, only my opinion, I don't think there was any sort of mission to have to go there.
Does a submarine carries nuclear weapons, or the nuclear weapons are only in certain type of basement of the military or whatever? Because I know that, and I think, you know, I know that the USA has a nuclear basement all over the world, pretty much, making sure, you know, everything is protected. Do you guys know if any submarines or things like that is able to carry any type of weapons such as a nuclear?
They are.
They are.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And which is like mind blowing, right? Because they could literally, I don't know exactly how far away from the coast they could, like, you know, sneak up to, but they within range of, hey, they could float to a country and start popping them off. And yeah, it's a capability that they have.
I heard someone talking about, in case of a nuclear war, more than 5 billion people would be like gone, like that.
I believe it. And I mean the whole like, let's just get nuclear weapons in this country, that it's hard for me to think that like, that's the answer. Like everyone should just have nuclear weapons. Like, I don't know, is there any way we could just say like, no, none of them, you know? And I get it. Like some people are like, well, America knows how to have them, but then not use them. They know how to leverage them and I'm like, but do they though? You know, like sometimes you wonder, like, are they really that disciplined? But yeah, they are in more places than most people would even imagine that where they are. Like they're in some people's backyards, like literally. Like that's what's crazy about it.
In some people's backyard.
Yeah, like literally in some people's backyard. And in some cities where they hate the military. The military's so bad. I'm like, look up that hill, dude. I guarantee you they're in that hill right there. And there's, you know, they don't know this and they probably should have never known that. But yeah, it's out there.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. So hypothetically speaking.
Like backyard, I mean by like you could see it, not like, you know, your dog's running.
I understand.
Yeah.
But exactly. Hypothetically speaking, let's just say that there is like someone that is hunting, right? He's hunting a horse, or he's hunting, let's leave the horse away. Let's hunting a bird, right? Mm-hmm. And then by mistake, he goes bam and shoot the freaking nuclear thing. Do you think? Not like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If anyone ever goes out to Tucson, Arizona, there's an old, I believe it used to be a nuclear missile silo that's still able to, you could go down there and tour it and go down there and see how they were in people's backyards, basically. And it's an amazing thing. Yeah, it's an old retired missile silo in Tucson, Arizona. So if you're ever out there, I would highly recommend. And I think we, at one point, if I remember right by the tour. He said like we had 68 of these things, and this is like the one remaining that they just left so people could see it. And they used to be all over the place. Absolutely. So I heard one guy is trying to turn one into like a condo, like people could live down in one of these silos because they're huge.
While he's still active?
No.
He's not active anymore.
No, it's funny because they say on this one in Tucson is I don't know who they are, but the nuclear regulation team or whatever, they come out and ensure that they're not active per se. Like they want, because it's the legit one that was there for years, and they shut it down, and they say they send out a team to make sure it's still shut down every now and then.
Leo, can you pull it up? The nuclear missile in Tucson?
Yep. Tucson, Arizona. Yep.
That's insane.
It's an amazing tour. And I think it's like $10, maybe $12 by now, but it's an amazing tour. And people used to live down there waiting to push the button. Like that's how it was back then. So they have little living quarters down there. You can see where they sleep, how they ate, and all of it's still there. Yep.
What the hell?
Yep. Boom. They're Titan. Yep. And so if you were talking about like what if you're walking your dog, so by sight, driving down the road, you would never know all this is below.
So it's hidden.
But they do have like a little small fence and a little thing around it to where, they don't let just Joe Schmo, run his dog around this corner. But to see under all those little spaces, you get to walk in between all those. You get to see the whole area.
Freaking
insane. It's fascinating. So again, this is what I mean by this is.
Can you imagine the technology nowadays?
It's
unbelievable.
It's almost common to see the technology in this.
It's like watching a iPhone. Well, it's like watching a telephone back in the 1920, pretty much.
Well, yeah, I mean, they say now our cell phones have more technology than the first space shuttle that went to the moon or the first space station, whatever. Like that's how far we move. So yeah, you see these things, and it's like, what is this, Mr. Roberts freaking movie? Like it's hilarious, man. But yeah, I highly recommend that if you are ever out there, just go tour this thing, man. It's and that there used to be a lot of those. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any type of since in the past 25 years you were in the Navy, have you ever had a conversation with someone that is into nuclear and things like that and say, hey brother, in case something would ever happen, how should I be prepared like now? Like yesterday, how should I be prepared for a nuclear attack?
I've never done that. I think I've watched like Doomsday Preppers a couple times, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that either, right? I mean, in my opinion, if that button ever gets hit, I don't think really anyone's going to be prepared for that. I mean, let's just say you did prepare, right? Like built the bunker, I think rumor is Mark Zuckerberger's building a bunker in Hawaii right now, just like, deep down, whatever. But I'm like, okay, cool. You get the ticket to go in with him. This thing happens, and then blah, blah, blah. What do you do when you come out of this thing? Everyone's gone. Like, there's no more grid. Like, it's going to be smoke and mirrors anymore, right? Like, so to me, I'm at peace with God, man. Like when this thing rains down,
fuck it,
I'm out. Okay. I don't want to live in that area after the fact. Can like Chernobyl, that thing is still like pumping out freaking toxic nuclear radioactive stuff right now. I'm like, the whole world's gonna be like that? It ain't gonna be good. All the animals are gonna be ruined. Like I don't. For me, I don't even want to go down that hole because I don't want to even be near it if it ever really happens.
What if
it's just not worth it?
Talking about these billionaires, right? Creating those bunkers, and in case of a nuclear weapon, what if a nuclear weapon is going to be something accessible for billionaires, and they're gonna be like, hey, my company is worth $2.5 billion. Your company is worth $1 trillion. Fuck your company. Bam. Can you imagine that? No. It's gonna be like something like that coming up.
That's nightmarish,
dude.
Like the competition gets
literally. I mean, think about it. People like Elon Musk is able to shoot missiles into the space and shoot like satellite into the space. He's working with NASA at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's something that a private person can actually do at the moment. I think
now
no?
that you say that,
Right?
I mean, it's something that you could imagine it evolving too. That the private citizen is getting so high up there, but again, I don't think as much as the USA has whatever to say about it. I don't. I mean, you look at like Monopoly, like Microsoft got a little bit too big. United States is like cut it up, monopolized. So I think if it ever happened to where they were next thing like dabbling with nuclear weapons, I would hope that would be stopped. Like, that's scary, right?
That's really scary.
If they could have that much money to create that whole thing.
I mean, nowadays there is. I think that Trump back in 2016, he actually hired a private company as secret intelligence instead of the CIA.
Oh.
So to say like, hey, you guys like can do a better job. So I think that he defound. Can you fact check this, Leo, please? I think that he defound the CIA and kind of like put more trust into a private company, which it's crazy how nowadays. And please fact check that because I want to.
It is. I mean, if you look at even like Elon Musk with the whole space thing he's going, like I do believe like right before he got big into the space thing, like NASA was like going out of business. Like they were done. Like what's the point anymore? Blah blah. And then he kind of rebooted them and went his way. And I mean, if you look at his rocket ships, they're like literally landing back into the freaking orbit on a barge in the middle of the ocean. So the civilian sector, man, they could do some big things, and I'm just praying that they don't go the nuclear route. Like again,
that would be insane.
That's just the end.
That would be insane.
I don't. It's it's like a lot of people say, no one wins a fight. For sure, no one wins a nuclear fight. That's just game over.
Insane.
Or ruins the quality of life that we've tried to build for so many years. Like, what kind of quality of life would you have? Living in a bunker for 50 years to wait till it goes away? Like, yeah, no thanks.
No.
So hopefully that never happens.
Put like, for people that are listening the audio only, put like Trump invest in private Secret Service agency. Secret Service plan. Is Trump doesn't no Trump charges Secret Service. Trump's company charges Secret Service. But did Trump rely on private Secret Service instead of CIA?
Do you know that if Secret Service is part of CIA or the Secret Service people that follow the president around, are they a different branch? I've never really looked in that.
Yeah,
like Secret Service.
I'm not sure neither.
Or if they pull ex-CIA into Secret Service or vice versa. Yeah, I don't know.
Secret protection.
I know they get beat up pretty bad sometimes too with some of their shenanigans.
Anyway,
interesting. I mean,
I watched this CIA guy talking about this conversation. I will have to double check and eventually put in the description if I find the source. But no, that's a huge thing. The fact that a civilian or a private citizen is able to eventually come up with a freaking nuclear weapon. I hope that's not gonna freaking happen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked up Eric Prince. He was the owner of Blackwater, and he basically got privatized military for a while. Like his whole outfit was like, the military was like, well, we can't really do this and this and this overseas, but you private military people can. So he got utilized to do a lot of stuff.
What's his name?
Eric Prince, and he was the ex-owner of Blackwater. Yeah, I mean, just a very smart guy. He was also an Officer SEAL. Just look up his story one time, and he was basically one of the biggest private military guys out there. And like he never went nuclear, never did all that stuff either. But fascinating that it went that way for so long, and then finally the government just shut him down because they were like, well, nope, we can't have this. You're too big, too much, so that's it. You're done. So I think that would happen with nuclear stuff. If civilians went for it, they'd be like,